All right, I do think we are live right now. Hold on, do we see my screen? I'm so bad at technology, you all know this. Okay, cool. It does look like you can see my screen. It does look like audio is working. My mouse is moving. My apologies. Lovely, let's do this. Okay, this is actually the last one I'm gonna show. You would think I would ASST. We're going to start right here. Actually, we'll start with the markets is what we'll do. So first off, I hope everyone's having a great day. We're going to start with looking at the markets. So I'll do NASDAQ, the S&P 500, and there was a request to add the Russell. So I'll add IWM to this. And then I'll look at Bitcoin. I don't do that much, but I'll at least do that in the beginning. And then I have a little less than 30 stocks that I'll be covering. And then if there's anything you want to add, just throw it into the comments. All right. So first thing we're going to do is look at the indices. And I guess before even talking indices, there's definitely some news going on right now about Greenland, right? And things are getting really crazy. There's a lot of, US, EU tensions, escalations, whatever, adjective you want to use right there, right? There's a thing called the Kobeshi letter. I'll throw that in the comments of the video. Look, it's very much a good thing to follow. I follow it. I think they put really cool, things I just don't know. Very economic, government stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. So they have this playbook, and I'll share the playbook as well. But they outlined the fear, sell, recovery, and run of tariffs really well with this 12-step playbook. And they are basically saying that it's the same thing for this EU tension thing. And honestly, I'm kind of buying it right now. It's just an opinion, but I think it's what seems to make sense. There's gonna be a lot of worry going into tomorrow, right? And I think regardless what the index looks like, what the indices as a whole look like, there's some worry. And what's gonna probably happen is a little bit of selling, and we're gonna wait for someone important to basically say, hey, it's all good. And once that happens, things will recover, all right? So that's the Kobeshi letter playbook thing. I'll share all the info in the comments and stuff, but it is what I'm basing it on, all right? Going into the technicals, what I know and I really look at, look, so far, it's not that bad right now. As much as I would love this thing to just ride the 8 and the 20 up, what we're really doing is holding this 50 pretty well. I think my concern is now what looks like a downtrend, right? The line was at least going up, a little less steep, but still up. That's kind of the first little less than flat right there, right? So I'm looking at the 50. I'm obviously going to start thinking about the 100, and it kind of feels like QQQ is going to come to this really important 612 decision moment if I had to guess. I'm just kind of guessing where the line's going to go. This thing's still kind of coming up, maybe 613, right? So that's what I'll be looking for on QQQ. At the minimum, it kind of seems like we'll probably be coming down from this 620 to 613 range, right? QQQ is the mirror of NASDAQ, right? So I'm just kind of guessing we're going to come to 23,000, give or take, right? The 50 will probably keep coming down. The 100 will keep coming up. We'll probably meet somewhere right there, and then we'll have this make or break moment, right? So when I look at the S&P 500, let's look at the SPY real quick. This does look better, right? And I think I said that on one of my last videos. The S&P 500 does look a little better than NASDAQ, but I have to start to imagine that this will probably start to come around the 50, just like the NASDAQ is right now. And again, I'm mainly basing that on this EU, US tension thing going on, right? If we're able to, we're basically there. If we're able to get back over 694, give or take, on SPY, I think we'll put all those EU things behind us. But SPY still looks better. I think it's going to catch up to NASDAQ. I don't know if it's going to come to that same 50-100 location, right, all the way down here. For now, I'm just kind of thinking S&P 5. I'm just thinking the 50 for the 500. That was a tongue twister. IWM, so I don't really cover the Russell much. Yo, this is beautiful right here, right? And clearly this is well worth the attention. And this is the small cap index, right? And if you know, I love small caps. That's basically what I trade, small to middle cap. So the Russell doing well is actually pretty good for the tickers we look at. You would think I'd cover this more, right? So I do apologize on that. But I'm a little torn as to me wanting to talk about the strength of how good these technicals look, and then that back of my head, just what's going on with Greenland and all that noise, right? This has not actually even hit the 8 moving average, right? It kind of comes to just above it and then goes up. So if it maintains the same thing, maybe this will come down to like 263, maybe 26, like a high 262, right? Because the line, hopefully it just kind of does this not all the way, not all the way, not all the way, right? Like I'm kind of guessing that that's the not all the way, right? If we do lose the 8, it is a bit of a way down to the 20, but I gotta believe that this 259 will be a pretty strong point for the Russell, all right? I think at the minimum though, the Russell looks better than the QQQ, which is NASDAQ. It actually does look better than the S&P 500. And maybe with all this bigger, EU, trade war, this, that, maybe these little tickers can do a little better, right? Like all the big boys and big girls get a little more hurt, and then these little ones just kind of slip through the cracks and kind of keep doing their thing, right? So Russell is definitely doing better than the 2. Keep that in mind. Maybe kind of focus a little bit on small caps, all right? The last thing I will flash is Bitcoin, and then I'm going to get into all the tickers, all right? So this is what Bitcoin looks like at the moment. Let me just zoom out real quick. So look, there's not a lot of history. This system that I've used hasn't been covering Bitcoin for a while, so I have no history behind this. But there's some decent things going on, and hey, it actually looks like some nice lines have been drawn here, right? So this 92,500 seems like a good line. Look, we had one candle over it, but you can't get overly excited off a single candle, right? Doji, 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 all of a sudden we're right back at the line, right? So this is a tough line. We've already failed it once. We've already failed it twice. Maybe you can say this is becoming a support though, right? Instead of like resistance, 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 peaking over but falling, and then all of a sudden maybe we'll actually land on the line, and instead of going below, it'll be a resistance that takes us up. That's gonna be the best case scenario. Otherwise, yeah, this will probably come down to like 90,700, give or take. So the real need, I think it's here. It's probably a little too high, but look, this needs to get as close to 94,400 as possible. If that can happen, I think we'll start thinking this basically 100K number for Bitcoin, all right? So that is our index review. Sorry, I gotta write some time so I can chapter this thing. 7:45. All right, let's get into the tickers. So this first list is what I'm gonna basically call the hot stocks. There's either a lot of volume has been here, a lot of interest, whatever it might be, right? But first one we'll look at is ASST. And I mean, I think the craziest thing is to just simply remember, and look in the box over there, even with 137 million shares on a single day, the next day had 119 million, even with so much volume, you can't underestimate the difficulty of breaking these lines. Literally a full 2 weeks of attacking that 50 moving average only to close over it once and seemingly right now fall below it. Yo, these are computer generated lines, right? I didn't wake up and make these things up. If you set some high criterias, and I'm telling you, breaking one of these lines is a high criteria. If you can set yourself a good little high criteria, man, it'll do you good things. I'm shocked. I'm not gonna. I thought this was gonna break. I thought this was gonna break 113, and we were gonna come to at least 140ish, maybe even peak that 155. I wasn't thinking 100 moving average just yet, but it felt like there could have been a good 50% move right here. And again, it was mainly because volume was so high. We had green over red on the MACDs and the RSIs, but 113 is what I kept preaching. 113 was over the biggest candle to the left. That's basically this one right here. And there's a lot of moving averages here, right? So I don't want to just get over the line. I want to set just a little higher criteria and get to that, right? So we just couldn't do it. And honestly, at this point, the question's going to be, can 92 cents hold? it's hard to think right now that we're going to go to 104, 105. I think the real question is 92, but that's basically what we need. Look, we need 104, 105 just to be a consideration, but truly, and again, you know, I'm never here to tell you buy, sell, hold, right? I wouldn't really consider an entry until we actually broke this 113. And again, mainly because there's so much good above it, right? I would rather move that risk reward into my favor and let's trade from here on up instead of from just here to here, right? Like we've already seen the difficulty of it. So I'm ignoring the volume. I really am. I'm ignoring the fact that MACD is, you know, 0 is positive in my head. It's not negative, right? So MACD is all right. It is green over red there. But yeah, none of this matters. Get me over 113 on ASST, all right? ONDS, so ONDS. Look, this is a very hot stock. This thing has broken all and flown. It didn't even lose all 5, right? It was at least able to use the 100 to carry its way back on up. We had this 1441 resistance line here, and hey, it's been a decent resistance. It couldn't get over it, right? I'm now thinking way less about this resistance, and I'm wondering if we're about to come to 1111, right? This is now 2 candles. So let's talk about these 2 candles real quick, right? So on Thursday, we closed down here just over that, right? So let's let me look. If you look in the box over there, we close at the green number, $12.82, all the way down here, right? Just over our line. Friday, we actually gap up. We open all the way up here at 1340. All right, that's monster right there. Problem is, and it's why we always wait for the candle to close, right? We finished down here. And we've now gone 2 pretty distinct back-to-back candles below the 8 moving average. That has to make me think we're potentially losing the 8 and coming to the 20. Green, green, green might make it a pretty fast red, red, red. Arguably already did. 1111 does seem to make sense here, right? The one thing we can say about ONDS is it knows how to bounce on the 20, right? It did it here a couple times too. It knows how to bounce on the 20, right? And it goes. So I don't think I'm going to worry about losing this 111 just yet. However, it is another trench of green, green, green to a potential red, red, red that might bring us as low as 9. All right. There's always 2 sides of the coin. As much as I would love to talk about breaking 1414 and running to all-time highs and all the good that comes behind it, the possibilities of 11 and 9 are there. And we're sitting at 12, right? So 12 to 9, that's a substantial double-digit drop, right? So keep your plans accordingly. I think going anywhere near 1090 is probably a loss of that 1111, because look at that, the average 20 is actually at 1110, so it's basically the same thing. Don't lose 1090, I think is what I would say on ONDS right here, all right? Hey, if we can get over like 1370, my tone will change. And I'm not really using this 1277 because the 8's above it still, so I'd rather get over the 8 and I'll wait a couple pennies, right? So cool, that's yo. If you have any tickers, throw them in the chat. If you have any questions, if you disagree, throw them in the chat. I've got several more that I'm going to do, and then like I said, anything that I see, I will throw in at the end, all right? Let's take a look at plug right here, and this is getting so close. All right, this is getting wildly close, actually. All right, you can see it. We have 4 of the 5 moving averages basically pennies away from each other. All right, yeah, I see that this 219 line is pretty decent and like it'd be easy to brag about, but if you actually look, you have the 20 moving average, the orange one, basically on it. This line matters way more than this little line that I drew right here. All right, so the 20 is holding this thing pretty well. It is. All right, but more than anything, we've got a tornado of 4 of the 5 moving averages. I see green over red. I see green over red. I see decent volume for what? The last month, you can arguably say, right? Like, this thing is so close. Break this 256. Maybe we can lower this number. Let me see. Where are you at? That's too low. Look, if you want, you can drop it. Let's drop it to, where's half of you? 251. See, but then now we're under this little guy. Where's that? 255. Look, it's only a penny drop if I leave it there. Let's see if I can do 254. Let's do 254. We'll drop it a couple pennies. If plug can break 254, and maybe that's the 256 that it just was a couple seconds ago and I lowered it, right? But if plug can break 256, green over red, positive MACD, green over red RSI with a very healthy 61, volume doing well comparatively to the 50 moving average, green, 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 red, 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 and nothing, nothing, nothing makes me actually believe 260 to 340 can hit and really quickly. There's one candle in the way and it's up here at 3, right? 295. So that's not too shabby right there. It's at least a 20%, right? Basically every quarter is 10%. We're adding almost $1, almost 50 cents right there, right? So there's a lot to like. Maybe, like I said, you can lower it a little bit closer to 250 if you want to. Again, different risk reward tolerances is what it is, right? But there's a lot to like to hear. And honestly, with this 61 and the green, 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 red, 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 and absolutely nothing above here, there's maybe a 445 consideration. Where's the weekly? Yeah, I mean, this isn't a bad weekly, right? Get me over that 20 moving average. That is the 254 line. Green, 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 red, 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 green, green, green. This also kind of says 455 might be realistic, right? So a couple good candles will probably get green over red on both MACD and RSI too. I mean, plug is a must watch. All right, listen, again, EU, UK tension, we kind of talked about that, right? I think this is a small cap. I have no float. I have no market share on this view. I really don't look at any of that on my personal stacks, the 1 and the 2, right? Like, to me, IWM going up makes me kind of think this $2.36 small cap might do something. Maybe I'm wrong there. Let me know in the chat, right? But plug is for sure a must watch. Anywhere from 250 to 254 based on your risk reward. Don't immediately think 455, but yeah, you can kind of keep that in your back pocket, you know? From there, we'll take a look at DVLT. Let's take a look at DVLT right here. And I mean, okay, first off, I continue to say this, all right? I really thought this was going to break this 415 right here. I thought this was going to, I don't want to say, like, this is stupid, don't think up here, right? But I really thought this would be a $10 or $20 stock. I actually did. All of a sudden, we're looking at a 74-cent stock, right? And, you know, good things happen over the moving averages. They start to get shaky. And, man, once you start losing the 8 and the 20, let alone losing them all, horrible things do happen. And it doesn't even matter if you're getting this 300 million to 100 million shares, right? Volume is important. I always say volume is king. Volume is queen for the ladies watching this thing, right? But yo, moving averages are important, and right now we are losing to them. I think what's the most concerning, and again, this was a monster 3-day run, yo, for sure it was, right? But when I like, how do I say this? All I'm really looking at is we tried to get over them all, and look, even on this takeoff, good candle, no confirmation. Good candle, no confirmation. Good candle, no confirmation. That is not a good one too. Good candle, no. Like this initial break of the 200, which for sure brought like a 4x run, right? Like it was a good break. It never got confirmed. And all we really did was we went up it, we went below it, we went up it, we went, but like this is just, it's like I often say, like, don't lose like a hot knife through butter. We're just losing this thing like a hot knife through butter, and I don't believe we've taken over this 200. I don't believe we're gonna get over this. It's gonna be hard to get over this line, let alone that 126 that it was. I don't know if we're gonna get over 116, and it's mainly because I don't believe that this stock is gonna do anything against the 200. And the real issue is green, 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 red, red, red could make this a real fast fall down to like 58 cents. If you lose 58, and you look, that's arguably 50% of this candle right here, anywhere from 58 to 56. You lose that, and man, it might really fall down to like 40 cents right here, all right? This is more to be concerned about than to like, and it's mainly because nothing good has happened over the 200 moving average. And hey, before this little random run that we traded and loved, all this thing really did was go under all the moving averages, right? So this little anomaly, I thought I was going to do more. I did. It had the AI name. It was at the right time when NASDAQ was doing well, right? Like, let's just look at QQQ real quick, right? Like, NASDAQ was pumping and it kept pumping, right? Like, November something. Is that where you died? DVLT. Yeah, kind of. It was a little closer to right here, but yeah, it didn't have the NASDAQ pump, and it clearly couldn't do it by itself, right? I'm telling you, I thought this one was going to do so much more, but hey, that's why I like technical analysis, right? It keeps us in check, keeps those emotions in check, and it's really hard to say my fundamental thoughts were wrong, but it's pretty easy to say, yo, we're below a line, and you lose all 5 and you die, right? I don't want to die, so cool. I've got a few more. Then I'm going to cover some weed stocks. Then I'm going to cover some viewer requests that I got on other places. If you have any that you want me to cover, let me know. I'm not seeing any chats in the comments, so I'm assuming everything is all good. Let's come into BBAI. And yo, BBAI has been a little bit on the frustrating side, but the thoughts have not changed for a while now. All right? Nothing good will happen on BBAI until 645 breaks well. All right. We're also missing some volume. Hey, the last couple trading days have been better. That's for sure. Right. We went almost a full month wildly below that 50-day line. Right. So we're improving volume. But right now it's still and it's I think less about this line. Like I don't want to make it sound like I drew a good line, dude. There's too many moving averages, right? Dudettes for my ladies watching this thing, right? 4 of the 5 moving averages are within a penny of each other, right? Like it's a tornado. It's hard to break a single line. It's really hard to break 2 lines. Yo, it is incredibly difficult to break 3, 4, or even a cluster of all 5. All right, and it tries to escape, it gets sucked back in. It tries to escape, it gets sucked back in, and it's been doing that for a while. It tries to escape, it gets sucked back in. It tries to escape, it gets sucked back in. Right? Like the lines just get tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. This one might end up coming up here at some point if we just stay too tight, right? Like we need something to happen. Look, again, I don't know if this is technically a small cap or not, right? But IWM is looking good. Maybe that's going to do some stuff for BBAI. Maybe like the bigger AI stocks, the Palantirs and whatnot, maybe those will hurt a little bit and this one can like sneak through the cracks and get some of that volume, right? Like it's for sure a theory I have in the back of my head. Nothing good will happen until 645 breaks, all right? It's arguably, it could be a little bit higher because I think 50% is a little closer to that like 651. I feel like I honestly, I want to, let me just back up. Is it for a reason? No, let's raise it. I want to go half of that. That's a little closer to half right there. And it puts us over most of those, a little closer to that. 652. Get me over 652, and I'm going to start thinking 777. And again, I would rather trade that dollar difference. Actually, it's $1.20, and roughly speaking, every 60 cents is 10%, right? So I would rather trade that 20% channel of just green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 nothing, 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 as opposed to this, 40-cent death window? No, get out of here, right? Like, there is no such thing as safer, right? But Las Vegas does really well with 52 to 48 odds. To me, you get over this line, we'll start being on that 52, 53, 54% edge as opposed to, in between this noise and being on the wrong side of that, right? So, yo, I love this stock. I do. This stock is a monster. I know. It's just not ready yet, all right? Let's take a look at this one, and I mean, this one made a move, all right? I genuinely did not think it was all going to come on a single candle. I was looking for an entry right here, basically. I wanted to get maybe even this one right here. I wanted to get over these 2 candles and then ride that red, 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 green, green, green all the way up there. It just ran with it the rest of the day, and I was unfortunately unable to make it. But this is literally what we look for, right? You break the 20, you make me believe. And look, I think the better line would have been that 50% point. I waited here, whatever, right? No one's perfect, but make me believe you're going to break the 20, you're going to run to the 50, and you have enough volume with it. It just ran to the 50, and I mean, picturesque. It went a couple cents higher, right? You can see the high of the day was at 98 cents. The 50 average was at 92 cents, right? So it's a real thing, I'm telling you, all right? Right now, there are two things. There's really three things that can happen, all right? First one is we're going to break this 50. We're going to get over this red line, and all that red is going to turn into a beautiful green, and yo, this thing's going to go above 40, all right? That's scenario one. I think the line for that is probably there. Maybe we can go there. Really, maybe we can even go there. Look, I think anywhere from 340s. I'm clicking on 33.44. That's actually a pretty decent number right there. Get me over 33.44, and I'm going to start thinking 41 basically. I don't think it would hurt to wait for 34 to break. Again, that's some really good percentages right there. I can't think of it fast in my head, but you know, might be worth it just to see it. And I mean, if there's a safest, it's going to be this 34. Man, you can't make these numbers up. They're so beautiful. Get over that, and again, to 41 is some real good trading right there, right? But that's scenario one. Break me the 50, we're running to the 100. And again, all I'm seeing, I don't even have to go that far back. It is just nothing, red, nothing, should be a good green, right? Scenario number two is, look, we did not close over the 50 today. So scenario two is we're going to come all the way back to about half of the day. And we'll probably, and look, it's basically the top of that. I think that's a decent candle. 31.15. I think give or take, that's where we'll come on the way back. We cannot go below this number, because if you go below this line right here, as quickly as it shot up, you're going to fall right back down to 30.40. All right. So don't lose this line. All right. The very last option is we do a doji. Right? 7-hour trading day, only move like $1 or $2, or only move like 30 cents or something, right? And just a little bit of uncertainty on Tuesday, and then real confirmation on Wednesday. I think that's going to be the 1, 2, 3. Break the 50 and run to the 100. Don't break the 50 and come to like 50% or less, or just doji uncertainty and let's wait another trading day for the rest, all right? This is a must-watch tomorrow. It really is. The volume was there. I'm seeing green over red on both MACD and the RSI. And I mean, the weekly is at least saying there's maybe a shot to just come to like 34 and change, maybe another 10%, right? That's a maybe. Might be a little hard to get over that 34 something though, based on the weekly, right? So that's kind of in that range that we were talking about, somewhere in the 30s or 34. So cool. Let's keep going. I got a couple more. How long have I been going? This is 30 minutes. My wife has given me an hour, so far so good. Open. Look, this is not going the way it should. Okay, there's a couple problems, and really I'm looking down here first. As much as I care about the moving averages, you know I do. Open ran on volume. Open rushed, just destroyed this 50-day line, kept pushing it up, and kept hitting it and beating it and hitting it and beating it, right? This stock ran on volume. Ever since the volume left, we've almost never been over the 50-day line. 1, 2, 3, 4 since October. That's not going to help open win, all right? I thought this day right here was going to do more. This is when Trump announced that monster mortgage buyback thing. It did nothing, right? And it is what it is, right? Like it sounded good, it sounded great, it sounded like a lot of money. I don't got $20 billion. That's an incredibly big number that I'm never going to ever touch in my life, right? Like it wasn't enough to break the moving averages. It was enough to get my attention, get my excitement, this and that. But hey, computer-generated lines have absolutely no emotion. They've got no thoughts behind whether they should go up or down. They just let the math drive them, right? So it looked promising. It looked crazy at moments with this high wick, right? But where are we now? We're back trapped in that's kind of been the theme with a lot of these, right? 4 of the 5 moving averages way too close to each other, right? And you get sucked down, you get thrown up, you get sucked down. At this point, I kind of feel like we're just living around 675. And we're either going to really nicely break 730 or we're going to lose this 640. And it's a little too 50-50. And like, honestly, my personal, the 1 and the 2, I got a couple more indicators and this and that. It's still way too 50-50. Like there's just some moments when it is what it is, right? So, cool. We're going to keep going. This might be a decent place to chapter it right here, just to do that for the views. 30, what does that say? 30-15. Okay, lovely. Cool. Let's do the next couple. I'm going to then get into the weed stocks. Then I got some viewer requests. If there's any requests, throw them in the chat, all right? We're going to look at IREN next. Okay, look, this looks really good, okay? On the technicals on its own, every single thing looks good, right? Positive MACD with a nice green over red and a good divergence. Divergence just means 2 lines going away from each other. I do believe the green is diverging up higher than the red one. I see the exact same thing with the RSI, green over red, green is diverging up. 75 is a little bit high, but yeah, it's not 80 and we can still push a little bit higher. And IREN has gone substantially higher than 80s. It's also basically lived at the 80s, right? So this thing knows what to do there. We're over all 5 moving averages. That's a nice candle. It did get over our resistance line, right? I don't know if this is a great 1-2 candle right there. I don't necessarily know if this is confirmation, but hey, this would have set up very nicely going into tomorrow. Okay, I think it's still a must watch. I do, because look, I don't know if the US EU tension is gonna come here or not. I've been seeing headlines that futures opened in red, this and that, right? Like some stocks still do well when things are bad, and the setup is doing well for this thing, right? This is a nice just green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 and then a lot of months of nothing, right? Like this is a good fast channel. I think if we come back down to 55.60, it'll be okay, all right? The goal really is, and it's hard to kind of find, like, what's our money line? I mean, honestly, I think it's 58. Just get me into 58, and the next place I'll expect is 61. After 61, it'll be that 66 line that we got right there, all right? Things look good on the daily. Things look good on the weekly. On its own, this does look really well. I'm a little curious to see if that Greenland thing does anything. And really, Bitcoin has kind of stopped its rush, right? Like we're a little bit on a downtrend right now. I'm also curious to see if that does anything to IREN. But again, you gotta watch this one on Monday. This is arguably the best setup of almost all of them that we looked at, right? Like Plug was close but wasn't there. SMCI was close but wasn't there. This one's actually starting to take off, right? So keep an eye right there. Next one we'll look at is CIFR. And look, I always say it. When I look at the first one, I always look at this one after. Similar. It's similar, but not exactly the same, all right? So this did not close over our resistance line, right? This closed 2 cents over the line. This is also the first good candle over the moving averages, right? When we looked at IREN, we were obviously several days over it. It's been 5 candles physically over it. There was a decent back-to-back, but not a beautiful one. And then obviously this good one right here got over the line. With CIFR, Fridays was the best over the moving averages, right? There was this one right here, couldn't confirm. This one right here, a bunch of dojis. Maybe there's a little bit of IREN copy where there was this first one, a couple not reallys, and then a decent one, because that is what CIFR is at least showing right here. A decent one, a couple dojis, and then a good one, right? But I think it's a must watch. Look, that's the simple thing to say. I think what I would want is for us to get over like 1925. I think if you can get over 1925, there's a lot of nice path to get you probably to 2066, and then from there that almost 24 up there. So CIFR, not too shabby. I'm willing to let it come down to like 1790. Again, with IREN, there's a little bit of like a, let's hold this line, let's kind of stand here and keep going. I don't like the fact that CIFR is going to get that much closer to the lines, right? But yeah, let's not go below, 18 too much. If we have to go to that 17 something, I guess. But yeah, hopefully we don't go below like 18. I think that'd be solid right there. All right. Let's keep going with this one. And this is one that I called out on the Discord. Wait, CRWV, sorry. CRWV. So I called this one out on the Discord, and really, look, this is, if you've watched my videos, this is what I like to trade, right? When you have a good channel between some moving averages, and you've got a lot of red, and nothing all the way there, right? Like literally, let's just put this little line right there. Red, and nothing, beautiful little path all the way up. And hey, let's just break 50% candle right there, and you can literally see the stair step way right there, right? So this did the job that we were looking for. Get over the 50, take me all the way up here. There is a little bit of difficulty coming right here, all right? Like that is, oh, sorry, I didn't need to zoom out, sorry. We have now, so look, it takes 8 candles to make the 8 moving average, 20, 50, 100. We've now just crossed the 200th trading day of CoreWeave. This is a relatively newer stock right here, right? So we're now at the 200, and it happens to be very, very close to the 100, right? So it's tight. It makes this little point that much tougher. Let me see. Sorry to keep zooming in and out. I really do apologize. Let me just see what things look like. Yeah, this is our line. Almost the top of that, at least into that. I think if you can get over 106, what's that right there? I think anywhere between 105 and 106. I'm going to leave it in the 105.77 range. Get me over that, and all of a sudden, you're going to start thinking 520s, actually, all right? Just keep in mind, it's difficult to break one moving average, let alone 2 moving averages, let alone the last 2, the strongest of the 2 right there. If we fail this line, there's also too much red, nothing, and green. It might fall really fast down to 90, all right? I would be real tight at losing 99. Don't lose $99 on CoreWeave, and I think things should be okay. I think under that line, there's a real potential to lose another 10% and go from 99 to 90 right there, all right? Last one in this little group that I wanted to look at is SOFI, and I'm shocked. I keep saying it every time I cover SOFI. I'm shocked SOFI looks like this. I really am. I thought we were going to break them all right here. I thought we were going to break them all right here. This even got over all the candles to the left. Like, I'm shocked. This is a $26 stock, not a 36 or even 46, all right? I've been saying for a while, as long as we don't lose this line, it's all good. We're knocking on the door of losing this line. We have a negative MACD. We've got red over green. We've actually got red over green on the RSI. Normally, I'm okay with volume missing the 50-day line, but this is really bad volume here, and it's starting to get worrisome because you lose this line and there's so much green, nothing, that a fall to 22.40 might be realistic, and that's wild to me, you know? Maybe something around this $24 range will try to hold something. Maybe it's a big 50% right there, but it's crazy. Look, this needs to get back over 28. Let's just call it 28, right? 27.90, give or take, is what this needs to get over. I am very shocked that this thing is as low as it is, all right? I think my wife is calling me. Give me one sec. Babe, are you calling me? No. Oh, okay, good. She was not calling me. Lovely. Cool. Okay, let me drink some water. Okay. I'll chapter 1 right here at basically 38.55. Okay, cool. We're going to go through some wheat stocks real quick. All right, so let's look at TLRY. Okay. So I think the interesting thing is after earnings, we neither spiked or died. We stayed horizontal. And I feel like that rarely happens. I guess it did happen. No, that's a reverse split right there. Right? Like earnings, I guess we went a little horizontal here before it happened, but that was a little bit of like government news and this and that, right? Like earnings comes and we go down, right? Earnings comes and we go down. Like I'm surprised it went flat. I am, you know. That said, look, we either need to get over 1020 so that there's a real shot to go to 12, or I mean, we're probably going to come down to 888, right? Like we're either going to break the 50 or lose the 200. Volume's been a little bit of an issue, right? Like we're coming nowhere near this 50-day line. Where are we on the weekly? Yeah, weekly looks pretty identical actually. There's just too many moving averages, and that 50 is basically exactly where the 20 is. This thing cannot go below 850. That's for sure right there. All right. Let's come into CGC real quick, and yeah, I mean same basic. There's too many moving averages, way too close. We're obviously on the bottom of them. Get over 140 and things will look good. Maybe we can lower it to like. No, I wouldn't lower it. 140 is still a line. You got to get over 140. This is tough. Literally all 5 moving averages right there. There's not too much I can say. Well, how far is earnings? Earnings is in a couple weeks. Maybe that's what it's going to take to break this out of the funk right there. Let's come into MSOS. Oh my gosh, too many moving averages. Breaking this 5 has been such an important task. And I mean, we're living right there, right? The sector needs news. I feel like that's what's happening right now. The sector just needs some news. Like I go back to the TLRY earnings, right? Like I feel like they're waiting, these investors, you know, buyers, whoever it might be. I think everyone's holding their breath for that next Trump tweet, Trump Truth Social thing, whatever you want to call it, right? And it's look, if you're long and strong, who cares, right? Just do your thing, right? When you're a short-term trader like I am, and you're waiting for something so unmanageable, like there's nothing in my control for when Trump's gonna post something, right? There's a little feeling of like I'm trapped. And look, again, if you're long and strong, it's all good, but I just feel like everything is so tight. Everything is so tight. Everything is so tight with the moving averages, with the horizontal movement, that it's just waiting for the news and like doing its best to just hold on here until that news comes. You know what I mean? So looking at high tide, man, this one sucks because I was looking for this to break that 50 moving average. It just never did, right? So we're now below all 5 moving averages. Hey, this has been a pretty strong line. It's been a very important line, right? There was just a lot of talking about this 254 line, right? The good thing is earnings is not too far away. It is a couple weeks. Hopefully this golden line can hold it. And hey, maybe this will just kind of fall back into the moving average clusters, right? Like we were under the 200, we were over the 200, we're now under the 200. Maybe we can kind of squeeze back over it until earnings comes. But again, as much as I see these coming down a little bit, I'm still seeing a sector that's so tight and just looking for the news to come. All right, this did have good earnings on the last call. I don't know if there's now a little newer anticipation of like, are you going to give back-to-back good earnings? That hasn't been here before, right? And I know the longs do believe that like every earnings has been good and this and that, right? But there was actually a good market reaction to the last one. Let's see if we can get another market reaction. And I don't know if that's going to be strong enough to carry the sector. But again, looking for some news to shake it out. That could be the good news that this thing wants, right? SNDL, looking at this thing. This one's a lot rougher. This one is a lot rougher than all of them, actually. This one seems to be the outlier doing the worst. I think a little bit of the same high tide comments. What looked like an escape attempt, right? All of a sudden became a really fast loss of all of them and just dying to the moving average. This one, I'm surprised it looks like this. You can tell I haven't looked at this one until this moment right here. This is the worst of the bunch. Like I said, this is the outlier of the group. And yeah, you got to get over. I mean, maybe you can say get over 180 and take it all the way up to like 210. That's a little bit more than a 10% move right there, but this is the worst of the bunch. I was not expecting to see that. VFF has been the strong. Wow, get out of here. VFF has been the strongest. It's still doing all right. there's at least 4 moving averages with the 5th one down there, right? When we were looking at the other ones, they were all so close. They were all so close, right? They were all so close. Even high tide, right? They were all so close, right? SNDL just looks so bad, my goodness. VFF, hey, it's still at least over 2, right? But these 4 are a little tight, and man, if you lose that 100, that's a bad fall down. We have a couple lines here, but hopefully this 100 will do well. Like, we actually have not even used it once this entire time. So hopefully the 100 will do well. Hopefully this never goes. Don't go any below. Don't lose 323. As a Los Angeles person, I like that number too. Don't lose 323, and I think I'll be okay with VFF. This is the strongest of all of them, but there is that same tightness that you can see, and man, volume's just been tough on this one, all right? That was the weed sector review, 45.20. So this is the last bunch that I have. This is the last tranche of viewer requests. If you have any viewer requests, throw them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to end in 2, 4, 6, 7 tickers. All right, let's take a look at LDI. So this is one that I actually found. I threw this one on the Discord on Friday. It did really well through the day. I think this and IREN might be the better of the 2 setups. IREN was a little better because that one was several days over the moving averages. This one's only a single day over all of them, right? But this has been riding the 8 very well. This has had some nice volume. We are at an 80 RSI, so keep that in mind. But I did like the MACD. I did like the RSI green over red. And I liked the weekly. We had a good bounce on a strong support point, and it looks like it's now taken us back over all the moving averages, right? This was our first attempt over, our second attempt over. That's not too shabby right there, right? So this caught my eye. It does look like earnings is a decent ways away too. It actually looks like it just happened. So that's well behind us, too far ahead in front of us. Let's just see if the technicals can drive this and carry it over. And I think more than anything, let's see if volume comes back. If volume comes back, this should head to 340 and then basically 440 behind it right there. SMR, so this looks like a couple of the stocks that we looked at, right? If you break the 50, there's a lot of red, red, red to green, 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 all the way to 30. That's a 50% channel if it hits, right? I think the money line is probably going to be anywhere between like 21 and 2140. You can set your alerts accordingly. An alert's not an immediate buy notification, but green over red on the MACD and RSI, volume hasn't been bad. Make me believe you've broken the 50 and there is a 50% channel to be had. If you lose 1925, it's basically game over. I think it'll probably drop back down to the 17s right there. But SMR, that's a lovely 50% channel. That has to get your attention. Weekly, same thing. Look at that. Weekly says, yeah, wait a little closer to like 21. I think that's where I set my alert, actually. I think I did it at the top of that. 2140, I think will be a good alert. 2140. Cool. That's SMR. OKLO. Let's come take a look at OKLO right here. Too many moving averages for my liking. I don't know if this is indicative of what SMR might do, right? SMR kind of went up. It got rejected by a line and kind of, what's going to happen next. OKLO went up, got rejected by the line, and kind of went down a few more, right? So I don't know if this is indicative of that. Personally, I do like SMR a little more than OKLO at the moment right now. If I was to give it's too low. Where are you? It's a little lower than I'd want it to be. All right, I think I would go with 108.70. If this can get over 108.70, I mean, there's a lot to love. That is for sure. I think anywhere under that line, there's just too many moving averages to battle, and the channel spacing isn't that fantastic, actually. So, oh, cool. Hey, our first, nice. Okay, I got you those 2. I will throw them at the bottom of these, FAST and UAA. I actually don't know what either looks like. Cool, that's OKLO right there, though. NVO. So Novo needs to be on your watch list. All right. So Novo just got FDA approval for the Ozempic shot as a pill. Okay. And listen, weight loss is never going away. There are celebrities that were like body shame, like, I don't know what the words are. I'm going to say something dumb, and I hope you get what I'm saying. Like, celebrities went from like don't body shame people to like taking this shot in their neck and like losing 50 pounds, right? Like this Ozempic weight loss thing, like this is staying. And I will be real honest with you, I'm scared of needles. Like oh my God, I would never get a tattoo just because of the needles, man. Like I would never do the weight loss thing because of the needles. Knock on wood, I don't need it. But if I did, I now know I can buy a pill. And I think that's just, it's so much easier mentally. I don't know the cost differences between pill and shot, but pill is better than shot. I think that's a simple baseline. And NVO Novo is the only one. I actually saw a commercial for the first time of their pill. There's this company called Roe. They have Serena Williams or maybe Venus, one of the Williams sisters, as their spokesperson. They're selling the pill, right? What are we looking at technically? We're looking at the first escape of the 200 moving average since we lost it back in 2024, right? Like we struggled with, and then just flew through that 100 moving average because of the new, like this is a big one. And to me, I think it's a little bit less about the daily and it's more about the zoom out. You break this 50, you're gonna run to this channel up here in the next moving average up at the 200, right? Really, really good lower indicators. Go to the monthly. This thing is so healthy right now at a very low 30. This thing can come all the way to the 80s, still be healthy on the monthly, and maybe even take a peek at like 118, 120. This is one that I think is worth a longer term look, because it's hard to not believe in this weight loss pill. All right. I hope I said nothing offensive. I sincerely hope I didn't. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm thinking of like Adele and like these other people that were like bigger not that long ago. They're not anymore. And I heard they're like deleting pictures of their like older, bigger selves. Like this thing's here to stay. And the first pill I don't know when the next pill will get approved, right? That's going to be an important question. That's when pricing will start coming to play and this and that. But hopefully the runway on this pill does this NVO very, very well. At the minimum, it's been a nice run, right? It's been a very nice 20% with what looks like more to come, right? DNN, we covered this one on the last YouTube live. I did not buy this one, and I sincerely regret it. This is what happens when you break the clusters of moving average. We saw a lot of stocks with 4 of the 5 moving averages really close to each other. You go down, you go up, you go down, you go up. At some point, you violently go up, and it's beautiful, or you horribly get thrown down and it's sad, right? And DNN did go the good way. That's a high 90, right? So there's a little bit of, let's ring some alarm bell. Maybe there's going to be a little bit of a healthy cool down. At the minimum, I'm looking at a couple weeks of just living at basically 80 right here, right? So there was some crazy volume moments. It seems like it's kind of stabilizing back. As you look at the weekly, though, this is a good weekly. This is a weekly that's kind of saying, I'm already here. I'm already back in 2011 peak moment, right? Like, let's just draw the line. You should see it. But we're like, there's a lineup. Let's zoom in. Let's just zoom in. I do zoom out too much. I know. I apologize. Right? Oh my gosh. Almost perfect 50% candle. That's too funny right there, right? 50% candle, biggest candle of this 2011 peak right here. After that, it's just absolutely nothing until all the way up here in the like 7s, right? And just looking at this thing, we're at a 62 RSI We're at a very healthy MACD that's positive, right? Volume's still a little bit iffy, right? There was a lot of monster volume before, but this weekly is kind of saying there's still a lot more, and just a couple healthy cool downs on the 8 and the 20, and there's this thing. DNN, it did really, really well. I do regret not buying it. Let's see what happens with 366. I think if this breaks well, this is an interesting place to consider an entry. I think what I'm expecting is for this to be a decent, healthy cool down point, right? I don't actually think we're going to come down to 350, 340. I think we're going to kind of stay at this 366. Oh, do I have to go to the weekly? Do I have no more lines? I have no more lines. And then, yeah, like we said, the next one's around somewhere here in the 5s, and really it was mainly around the 6s right there, right? So there's a lot of gap fill, and I can't see anything else. DNN, keep this one on your must watch list, all right? This is another one that we covered on the last YouTube live. This is one that you have to start paying attention to now, all right? I was shocked that this didn't take off right here. I remember saying fly didn't fly, and there was a comment on that on the last video. This really should have. That was a good candle. That was a good confirmation, good MACD, healthy RSI, volume wasn't bad. I'm surprised that went down. There's nothing that's certain with technicals, right? That said, the lines did the job, right? We never lost the 20. Good things happen over the 8 and the 20, right? And all of a sudden, we're now over all the moving averages. We're now in this gap fill right now with a whole lot of red. Like the next educated line is right there at 42, right? So I wouldn't really draw anything at this. You can maybe put this 37 in your back pocket, but yeah, that's an insignificant nothing right there, all right? Either we're going to come back down to 32, or I think if this thing can go to like, let's even come to the hourly. Let's see. Yeah, there's like nothing to use. You can use this 30, no, that's, I don't want to wait till 35. Dude, I would wait, I maybe a couple cents higher, maybe 33.50. I think would be make me believe you're going to keep going up, and there's still a lot of room for this thing to keep going up. I don't think there was any other way of saying that right there. Where did the hourly end? Yeah, that's a healthy hourly. It's still a 70 RSI. It's not like it was an 80 or a 90. 15 minutes also kind of curving up right here. Take a look at Fly. Take a look at Fly tomorrow morning. That is for sure. We got 3 tickers left. There's 1 on my list, and then the 2 that are in the chat. If there's any more, throw them in the chat. My wife gave me an hour, and we are perfect with timing. CCHH. Yo, this was a stock that I traded that. It was so good. I had a stop loss right here. I definitely took a little bit of a beating on that red right there, but stop loss. Always use a stop loss, all right? From there, good things happen over the 8, bad things happen under the 8, right? And we're losing the battle, okay? There was a comment because of this volume. This was clearly the best volume since all the way back here in December, right? My concern, and look, when I go to the hourly, it looks like it just happened in the last hour right there, right? When I go in the 15 minutes, it looks like it just happened right here, and this is basically what my most educated thought was. It looked like we were going to escape that 100 moving average line right there, right? That's a decent line to break. The next place would have been here. Like, I think there was a decent technical thing. I just don't like the way that confirmed necessarily, right? And then when you go into the minute, I talk about this often, you don't want to see the dashes. Like literally, look in the box. The volume is 0.00 on all of these dashes. Just minutes of no trading, and it's not because it was halted or anything. It just, the volume wasn't there. So I see this spike right here. I do, but I think I'm going to ignore everything. I'm going to ignore everything. Get me over some moving averages. Get me over like 56. I think that's a good line right there, actually. Get me over 56 cents, and yo, there's some crazy red to turn to green, okay? I don't want you to think about $5 or anything like that. I realize that I went up. That is how it works, right? You break the 20, you go to the 50. But I think it's going to start with break 55. We'll then think about 60. A lot of things can happen if this gets over 60, all right? I'll set an alert just in case I don't forget about this one. Alert's not an immediate buy notification. It is a come check it out, all right? So that's the end of my list, and let's do the last 2. Oh, did this freeze on me? Come on. I got 2 more left. Come on. We got this finger stuck. What's going on? I want to do fast and UAA. Come on. Get out of here. All right, I'm going to look at my phone real quick and do fast and UAA. If I can get this thing to unfreeze, I'll obviously show the charts. Give me a second. My phone is not as good as this system, but I'll give you some good thoughts. I sincerely apologize. ATT fiber. Yo, fast looks really good, actually. I really do like fast. So fast is trying to get over all them. Okay, good. Yo, I apologize. Take a look at fast, all right? Positive MACD, positive MACD, green over red, very healthy 64, green over red. I like that volume growth as well. Clearly Friday was a good volume as well, but that's some nice volume. Obviously right there is good, and then that's good right there too. This is a hard point, all right? It's very hard to get over the 100 by itself. It's very hard to get over the 200 by itself. The 100 and the 200, $1 away from each other, basically, let alone pennies away from each other, is really hard to break, all right? Man, let me see what else we can say about this. Where are you to that? You're already over that. Where's the hourly? Dang. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Why is this thing freezing on me so much? Ah, wrong thing. Okay. Fast. Get me over 44.30. Where's 4? I probably should have checked where the 100 moving average was before I set that alert. 44.30. Where does that put us? Oh, that puts us comfortable. 44.30. Is that what this line basically is? Yeah, it's basically this line. So that's going to be the safest line. I didn't even need to go into the hourly for that. If you can get over 44.31, next place up is basically 46, 40 something, 47 maybe. After that, there's a lot to like to maybe 48. I think 48 is relatively realistic as well, because again, that's a really healthy 64. It's a good volume. And this weekly is really nice. The weekly, so look, though the daily is still really tight right here, the weekly is at least tight, but overall the moving average is too, right? So there's that little solid correlation between the two. That's a very, very healthy MACD. There's also nothing above this little peak right here, right? Let me go to the monthly just to make sure. Like, this feels like it wants to keep going into all-time highs. I've never heard of fast. I'm going to look into them, actually. It really feels like this thing wants to go to 48, and then really from there, after 48, I think all-time highs will probably do its thing right there. Take a look at fast come tomorrow. I like that one. Solid right there. And then UAA. Oh, okay. Under Armour, not too shabby. When's your earnings? All right, earnings is a couple weeks away, so do keep that in mind right there, all right? So obviously, it's all about the 200 moving average right now. And hey, we've had some decent candles over it. We've been over it actually since this day right here. Look, this is a red candle, but if you look in the box over there, we opened down here and actually close all the way up here. We are over this last 2 weeks, it's been over that 200 moving average. Problem is, it's just not good enough. It just isn't good enough. Ah, man. And I'm looking at a stock that's never really flown. Like, it's gotten over the line, but then it came back way too quick. It's gotten over the line, tried to bounce on the line, and then came back real quick. This was its best point. And like, yeah, that was a solid 6 months. But again, I want to see break all 5 and just like fly sustainably, right? Like, I feel like this stock is under most of the moving averages more than it's over it. I would say I like fast more. This isn't a bad weekly necessarily, but like, I don't know if we're gonna get over this 680. If we do, maybe it'll go to 8, but Yeah, I mean, look, this is it. Even this thing, like it never really takes off when it. This is I don't like so some stocks I genuinely believe they work really well with the moving averages and they know how to crush it and they know how, you know what I mean? Like this one just doesn't like the moving averages as much as I wanted to. Maybe there's an 8 target, which isn't bad trading from this 5 something to 8. That's really good trading, right? But it's hard to feel a strong sustainability unless there's like some news or something like that. So, cool. Hey, this was awesome. This was just about an hour. I'm going to go, I think we're going to go to the beach now. Enjoy the day. And yeah, we'll do regular videos. Have a great one, everyone. Bye.